Where arts and adventure summits the airwaves. This is the Ogden Arts and Adventure Show. I'm R. Brandon Long, along with
Todd Oberndorfer.
We're your hosts for the greatest arts and adventure podcast in all the land. Joining us this week, we have another one of those executive directors, ED squared podcasts here, Todd. So we have Annie Baumer from Alf Engen Museum in Park City officially, you know?
Yep, Park City officially.
Park City officially. And we'll learn more about that in your job there, because when I reached out, I was sending cold emails and you emailed back and it was like, somebody likes me. Oh my gosh. It was great. Yeah.
We were so excited.
It was, yeah.
She never said that, but
she never said that.
Reading into it.
Yeah, maybe just a little, Okay. But then I was like, well, wait a minute. I thought initially Alf Engen Museum, and this is a historical ski museum, and I didn't know what to expect. But for some reason I was thinking whoever would be running it would be older, you know? And then I got on the phone and I'm like, oh, thank God. I don't have to explain what a podcast is. Okay.
That's pretty funny.
Step one. Okay. Also joining us, James Frederick with Onstage Ogden. James, how's the fall? You're just kicking off new season right now, right?
Yeah, it's good. So far, so good. We've had, what do we got, like 3 or 4 shows behind us already. We got like packed fall coming up. So, yeah.
Packed fall. Yeah, we'll dive into that. Now, I will thank you for some tickets that were set aside for myself that I ended up missing. Damn it. I admit now, because it was my son's last soccer game of the season.
Oh, last Wednesday we were talking about that. That's right. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
Standing offer, man.
Standing offer.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. And by the way, yes, James rode his bike to the studio. So that's all. If you don't know, you don't know. So there is that. So, but I want to start with Annie, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Annie with the Alf Engen Museum. Also, it took me a minute to sort of pronounce it correctly, but you're young. You're the executive director. How did that happen of a museum? Because you knew
first
when
of
you were
all,
7.
thanks for making the drive up from South Salt Lake.
Nowhere. Well, she did the loop.
Yeah, I did the loop.
You came from work.
Yeah, I drove from Draper, and then to Park City, and then all the way around.
You're
so I'm doing the whole
today.
loop of the valley today. It's great.
Yeah.
But Ogden was home at some point.
Yep, I born and
good to be
raised
back.
in Ogden. I lived here until I was about 25. So
And then you got the hell out.
And then,
no, I miss it
What?
so much.
That's not what I meant. I didn't mean it like that. That's not at all. There were opportunities. That's all
there were
I'm saying.
opportunities. Yeah. Ended up in a beautiful workplace. I don't know about
Beautiful
Draper as far
workplace.
as I don't know, but all I know is when I drive from here to Draper, it takes 7 days. That's all I know.
Accurate.
But accurate, yeah. But you're up there, Alf Engen Museum. I guess we just should know like what is the museum, you know, and then
Where is it? How old is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
All that good stuff.
Okay.
This is time to pimp it. Yeah.
Good. Okay. So the Alf Engen Museum was opened in 2002, right after the Olympics. The building that it's in is up at Utah Olympic Park, and it was actually the media center for the Olympics. So we have some pretty cool memorabilia from that.
Yeah.
But after they all moved out, the museum moved in. They were looking for a spot, and
Did they leave like a whiskey bottle or anything? Or?
no whiskey bottles here,
right.
unfortunately. But they were looking for a spot. They were originally going to have the museum up at Alta because that was kind of Alf's mecca. So they were going to put it in a little lodge up there. And then the cards kind of just fell into place. And they said, hey, we have this great spot up here at Utah Olympic Park. How about you come move in? So the first floor of the Quinney Sports Center is what it's called, is the Alf Engen Ski Museum that goes through Alf's impact on the ski industry in Utah. So he was the guy that tracked a lot of the ski resorts. For you Ogdenites, Snow Basin was tracked by Alf Engen.
Awesome.
He also did Alta. That was another big one, but there were 35 that he tracked. So he was kind of big with that.
Define tracked. Like he said, like this would make a good run here, or like.
Yeah, pretty much. So he was working with the Forest Service, and they would kind of designate, oh, this might be a good ski hill, and he would go and say, yes, this is a great ski hill, and kind of start to map it out that way.
Because at the time, that was it. That was your qualifications. He skied, and it was like, I'll go tell you what's a good ski hill.
Exactly, yeah. Skiing wasn't such a big sport here at that time. You know, it was just getting started here in the United States. Ski jumping was more of a thing than downhill alpine skiing.
Yeah.
So Alf kind of grandfathered a lot of the methods of skiing in, like powder skiing. He was really big into pioneering that and really getting the downhill skiing started in the United
I
States.
just think it's wild to think that someone had to pioneer powder skiing. Like someone was like,
Well, sure, yeah.
like this is
Now, to kind of put things in context, and I don't want to put you on the spot by any means, but just guesstimate Alf's year of birth. So how far back are we going?
So he was born in 1909.
bam.
He came
That
over
one.
here in 1929 at the age of 20 from Norway.
Okay.
And he ended up in Chicago. He was a soccer player in Chicago. And they were ski jumping one day while he was out playing soccer. There was a ski jumping hill
They were ski jumping in Chicago.
in Chicago. Yeah. So he saw them ski jumping and he walked over and he said, "Hey, can I try this out?" Knowing full well that he was a fantastic ski jumper. That was what they did in Norway. You know, everyone skied everywhere.
Yeah.
Did he play them? He
Yeah.
played
He
them.
played them.
They do that on
What
the
do you do?
basketball
You put
court.
these on your feet?
Yeah. He's taking bets. Yeah. 100%.
Make it to the bottom.
Ow.
Who's going to think I can make it to the bottom?
Oh my God. That's fantastic
Yeah.
story.
So he borrowed a pair of skis from someone and they were like, "Are you sure you want to borrow these?" And he's like, "Yeah, I know what I'm doing." And he skied down and everyone was just amazed. And he ended up being on a touring ski jumping show that went all over the United States. They do it even in like Los Angeles. They'd have grass hills that they would ski jump off of. And then he ended up in Centerville is where he met his wife.
As you do. You go from Chicago, LA, Centerville.
Obviously.
Typically.
Yeah, it's a pretty normal trajectory.
Right.
I love this
my
story so far. This is great.
Yeah, and he met his wife here and ended up staying and started working with the Forest Service and
And imagine this was before Target. It is what I'm telling you. So
He went to
this was
Centerville?
pre-Target. I don't know why else you necessarily go to Centerville now. Like the Target is there. If I need some gas on the way home, that's a good place
You know,
to
I worked
stop.
at that Target for like 4 years.
That particular one,
Yeah, that one there.
it's right by the PetSmart,
Yep,
which I like very
100%.
much.
I worked there for a long time. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
Anyway,
it's okay. Yeah, but he
I know Alf Engen though.
dang, you missed out. He probably was a Target shopper. I could
He
see
probably
it.
was, yeah.
Knowing his family, yeah. But yeah, he ended up sticking around at Alta. That was his big place that he helped out with and opened up Alf's Ski School. They worked with the Deseret News Ski School and just got hundreds and hundreds of kids starting to ski. And that's really how skiing started to grow in Utah.
This is a fantastic story. And then, I mean, Alf is a character, and so I'm assuming there's all of this is at the museum where you can catch up on who he is, correct?
Yep, absolutely. It goes through his whole story and his impacts on the ski industry and then how the ski industry has grown after him. So we've got some good things.
And then how do you keep it like, because that was a while ago,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then do you have like newer skiers that come in and like you feature? Like how do you keep the museum fresh, I guess?
Yeah, there's kind of two ways that we do that. So we have the Intermountain Ski Hall of Fame also at the museum.
yes.
So we have a nomination process and people get into our Ski Hall of Fame and then we do a big unveiling and a big gala for them. And then on the other hand of, featuring some more local athletes, we have our Hometown Heroes exhibits that rotate every 4 years with the Winter Olympics. And we feature the local Park City people that have gone on to the Olympics. So
Awesome.
they're skiers and also speed skaters. We have a couple of those as well in the area.
Are snowboarders allowed? Is that a bad word?
We have a snowboard exhibit,
Hey!
believe it or not, and we are trying to grow that.
Okay,
It's so small, but
Yeah.
we're like, this is such a big part of, the ski culture now.
Yeah.
Most
Well-
people snowboard and
What it is it's breaking norms. And so if Alf was like, you know what, you guys, you should try like this thing where you ski through powder,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just a progression is all it is. It's like, okay, well, there's snowboarding. It's a progression.
yeah, exactly. Let's try it with
30,
our
40
feet
years
strapped
old
on
now.
one board instead.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Interesting. Okay, very good. So let's get to know you a little bit. You did mention before the show that at 7 years old, you knew what you were going to do. I cannot say the same. And so how in the hell did that happen?
So when I was 7 years old, I played a computer game with my mom called Nancy Drew, Secret of the Scarlet Hand. And you work as an assistant museum director.
This is fantastic.
And I just fell in love with it. I turned
Yeah.
to my mom and I said, "This is what I want to do." And she said, "Okay, let's do it." And first I kind of
Immediately supportive.
immediately, she thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
So first I kind of went toward Mayan archaeology. That's what the game is. You're in a Mayan archaeology museum. And I thought, well, maybe I want to do this hands-on digging thing.
Yeah.
And then I decided that dirt is dirt
Not for
and
you.
not for me.
Okay.
And Mexico is hot. So I kind of pivoted there and ended up doing medieval Irish archaeology.
It's like the opposite.
Yeah.
Of what? Okay.
Complete opposite.
okay.
And I lived in Ireland and excavated castles for a while, and that was fantastic, and I absolutely loved it. And then came back here.
Okay, so this. You're so fast. You talk so fast.
I know, I'm sorry.
But that's okay because
No, it's a good story.
I talk
you're
so
giving us
fast.
much. But we have to slow it down just a minute because I cracked a whiskey joke earlier that was based off of this story because we did ask her, what was interesting stuff you found excavating castles in
No, you said
Ireland.
did you just find any bodies? Like
you
you went
find any
straight to the bodies.
Did I say bodies or whiskey?
You definitely said bodies.
There was bodies.
Bodies.
And
Well,
then we went
that's
to
what
the
I
cool
wanted to
stuff.
know.
Yeah.
And then-
whiskeys. I
Upon
was
discovery,
thinking in my head whiskey because that's what she found was a whiskey. bottle.
Yes, and how
Yeah.
cool is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were excavating a cottage that was next to one of the 13th century tower houses. And in the foundation of this cottage was a whiskey bottle that looked like somebody was building this foundation and they finished their whiskey and they put it down and they kept building and they never cleaned up their mess. And it just sat there for centuries.
Which, like we were saying, it sounds like every job site
now.
now. So it's,
Yeah.
it's still
Leave the trash.
Leave the
pretty
trash.
much
Yeah.
just like finding a Corona bottle like between the studs in your walls or something like that. Yeah.
I almost want to tear the sheetrock off my walls just to see now.
See what you can find.
Yeah, just to see what's in there. A fascinating story of how you came to do what you do. But why did you end up leaving Ireland? Because that sounds like a fun gig.
I had to finish school. So I came back, kind of a big thing. Came back to Utah and then ended up graduating at Weber State. And then I worked at the Union Station down on 25th Street. That was my first real museum internship.
Okay.
And kind of pivoted into the local history because there were no castles in Utah, unfortunately.
Yet.
Yeah. Yes.
So
That's true.
we don't know. We don't know.
You think we're going to go like a big full circle? Like a big,
Yeah. Could happen.
We don't know.
I feel like the houses are getting smaller and you're thinking bigger. Castles.
Yes.
Castles
I
are
don't know.
coming back around.
Seen the Leighton foothills? I mean, come on.
That's true, I suppose, yeah.
But
Spot.
how long were you down at Union Station? That's a fun. It's an odd museum because there's so many things to it.
Yeah, I was there for 2.5 years.
Okay.
I started off as their collections intern and then got hired on full time for their collections management. And I worked down in the train vaults. That was kind of where I was. So underneath the Union Station in the basement are these big old vaults.
Didn't know that. That's cool.
They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's where they keep all of their collections. So we'd have to go open up these big 1920s bank vaults every morning to get into the collections. And
Do you still have keys and codes? Do you have passcodes? Do you have...
unfortunately, they've probably changed them.
I'll guarantee you they have not. It's funny how confident that answer was. I'm just like, with like 90+% certainty.
They're
I think
the
it's
same
exactly
codes.
the same.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Oh, I hope not.
But at some point, I have to get a tour down there. Like I have to get a tour.
Can you pay? Are there tours or no?
They used to do ghost tours down there
Yeah.
where they would have like a paranormal expert come in and they'd take you down into the basement.
I'll take that.
I don't know if they still do.
Okay.
I haven't been there
We'll
for
find a way.
a while, but yeah, it's worth it. It's pretty.
So when you work there, because there's the train museum, there's the car museum, there's the gun museum. So you familiar with all of those, or you just one in charge of one, or what?
Yeah,
how's it
so
work?
I did the collections for all the museums,
All of them.
even the
Okay.
art museum I helped out with. I don't know if the art gallery is still there. I haven't been there in a while. But there was the art gallery just off the lobby.
Yeah.
And then the gun museum, the car museum, the train museum is where the majority of their collections are
Makes
because
sense.
the guns are very set. This is John M. Browning's founding collection.
Right.
The cars, they're the ones that you see on the floor. There's no vault of cars, unfortunately. But yeah, the train stuff was a lot of what I had my hands on.
It's fascinating.
It is fascinating.
Yeah.
So does that mean that what's your balance between like the past and like today? Are you kind of stuck in the past? Do you enjoy that life more than your sort of day to day?
I mean, I'm really bad at figuring out apps on my cell phone, which being 30 years old, I should be much better at it than I am. So my staff is always making fun of me for being kind of the old lady of the group. So I think I'm a little
If you
bit
could
stuck
get
in the
into like
past.
old bank vaults, like that's way cooler than
Then opening an app on your phone.
Yeah, I don't know how
agree,
to do it.
Yeah.
I got better things to do.
Right,
It's a
right.
good trade. But you've always enjoyed just old objects.
Archaeology.
Yeah,
Yeah.
old
The
things.
things.
Yeah, I got really into the Mayan archaeology thing when I was about in the 8th grade. All of my papers were on Mayan bloodletting, and my teachers started to get a little nervous.
As you do.
What's going
Yeah.
on here? But my mom was like, it's fine. This is what she likes.
It's a phase.
Don't worry about it.
Oh my gosh.
Your mom was very supportive, it sounds like.
Yeah, she also wanted to do the same thing after she realized how cool it was. So she was kind of like living vicariously for a while. She's like,
Was
this
she-
is great.
She played the Nancy Drew thing. She was into it. too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's how I learned about
Yeah.
it.
Oh, I love that so much. I have to find that now.
Yeah.
The game. Is it
Oh,
around? Do you know?
100%.
Yeah, you can get it on Steam still. I actually have them all on my laptop, and I play Nancy Drew games.
I don't even know what
once
I don't
a
know what
week.
Steam is. Yeah. Duh. You can get it
Other
on
than
Steam still.
It's some old tiny app.
Oh my god.
It's real world. It's not even plugged in. There's cranks and levers, and
Yeah.
you have to like.
Okay, but
Thing.
for those who know, you can get it on Steam still, just so you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's there.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Nancy Drew anything.
when you
on
know, you
Steam.
know.
When you know, you know.
And so we've made it as far as Union Station, and then what was your next step? Straight out to Park City?
No, I've actually only been there for 6 months now.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so from there, I took a short hiatus of the museum world because, small world, not a lot of jobs in that realm. And then I started at the Syracuse Museum as their curator, just kind of up from Antelope Island.
Yeah.
Just a little tiny regional museum. I was there for about a year and a half.
What do they museum there?
Lots of local history. One of their coolest things that they have is a 2-headed cow, a stuffed one, not an alive one.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, of
Appreciate
course,
that, yeah.
just in case.
I almost was going to drive down there. So yeah.
They talk a lot about sugar beets. That was kind of the big industry of
Okay, yep,
Syracuse, and the Syracuse bathing resort, which was kind of like
I just wish I had a camera on James' facial
I
expression.
love this.
Because this is right. Like, he's everything she says. She's like, are you serious? Like, for real? This is the most interesting thing. Like
A collection of oddities.
it really, yeah. Syracuse, man. It's where it's at, apparently. So, yeah. They had a bathing resort out on the Great Salt Lake.
Yeah, right on the Great Salt Lake.
Okay.
It was like the early days of Lagoon, how that kind of started
Yeah.
out there. It was very similar to that, but it just didn't last as long because it was really muddy. So it wasn't quite
gross.
as conducive. Yeah, and
Yeah.
gross. Yeah, so
Invigorating. That's the healing powers of the salt.
yeah.
Gross, but
It all came.
whatever. Well, the salt is one thing, but the mud and the
Did you hear her say
Flies are
two-headed
another.
cow?
I,
That's where she gets down to the two-headed cow.
fair.
That was one of my favorite road trips. It was with some friends. I'm from Kansas City, and so we made a trip with some friends from Utah friends out to Kansas City. I think our destination was a Kansas City Renaissance Festival,
Love it.
which I imagine you probably like. Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. I could see you out there for sure. And as we were making the trip, there was one large, and you probably worked there.
Two-headed
got
cow.
there yet. The little sideshow attraction, but it was a pretty massive building, and you pay a small fee to get in, and then when you go in, like the door closes and you can't get out, and so there's that fear that adds to it. Like you can't leave the same door that you came in.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why they designed it like that, other than just to make
Scare
you
the
feel
hell out
sort
of
of
you.
trapped. Yeah. And then the collection of 2-3-headed things, and there was some live ones too. There was a couple of live oddities that were in the little courtyard.
Really?
Yeah, this was not sanctioned, I imagine, by
Oh,
any. Maybe that's where the door locked.
Yeah,
was,
Yeah.
Was a heads up.
They
there.
can't allow the sanctioners in.
Yeah,
So-
but I remember this space was just 100% just sideshow. Like Midwest sideshow attractions that was all collected in one space.
That's amazing.
And it was a massive space, and it was creepy, and it was amazing. And then there was a courtyard in the middle where you could see some of the live
Things.
3 5-legged cows and 2-headed this and that and the other, and the whole experience was. And then the giant Paul Bunyan and the big thing of string and all of that kind of stuff. And it was amazing. But you didn't work there.
Yeah.
No, unfortunately not. But if they're still open, I
is up
might
your
check it
alley.
out. Sounds great.
You probably would have enjoyed that as well.
Syracuse Oddities Museum.
Yeah.
All right, so you're working your way up the communities. You're Ogden. You've now made it up to Syracuse, and then what happens next?
So COVID happened, and Syracuse was like, we can't do this curator thing anymore. So I moved on to the Layton Museum, which was about a 10-minute drive from the Syracuse Museum, just in Layton Commons Park. And that's another regional local history.
I got to stop. Okay, so I have a question.
Yeah, of course.
Because you're really good at what you do, apparently. But is there competition? Like when these jobs open, who else qualifies for this? Are they all out of state? Like, are there a lot of people around that are like vying for these jobs?
It's a pretty small museum community.
That's all I'm
there's a
asking.
handful of us that are local, and we kind of all just rotate.
You all know each other? And it's
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah, but then you get your random out-of-stater, like even
F
people
those
from
guys.
Italy,
Yeah. They think from Italy. They think they're all cool.
Yeah, come into work at the Syracuse Museum.
Right.
I saw the job pool. It was interesting.
Well,
I
okay, that
love
was a serious
this.
question. I really was like,
Yeah.
there's actually a whole group of people that they just.
Okay, so as somebody that has never been to the Layton Museum as well, you were listing all of the places. I haven't been to any of these so far. So tell us a little bit about the Layton Museum.
So the Layton Museum, regional history again about the Layton area, founded by Christopher
Which was the
Layton.
mall.
The mall is the mall
anything
about the
else
Layton Hills
do
Mall.
I-
Yeah, lots of history on that.
All right, I'm into this now. There's so much I have to learn.
Yeah, and
You should probably go to a lot more museums, Todd. That's just all I'm saying.
No, small. Little
I
small
know
museums.
someone who can guide
Small
you.
museums.
I can
that's my
hook you
goal.
up.
Yeah.
Duh.
There are like over 200 museums in Utah, so
Wow.
you got to do
Nice
some work.
fact.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
yeah.
Are
Start.
you trying to like do the little bingo card and like work it all
Yeah.
Yeah,
Imagine.
basically.
Yeah.
and check and check and check.
Absolutely.
I had no idea there were that many.
Yeah, a lot of them are like your smaller regional volunteer-run history museums. Most of them sanctioned like Daughters of the Utah Pioneers. Most little communities have one of those museums hanging
There's
around.
like a Park City mining one.
Yeah, on Main Street.
Yeah.
They're fantastic.
Been to that one.
Yeah, highly recommended.
So how long were you in Layton?
I was there for 2.5 years.
Well, that's a pretty decent amount at each of these places.
Yeah, I was there for a while. It was really fun. We were trying to kind of expand the story. They were really big during the war. Verdlin Park was where Layton Commons Park is now, and that's where a lot of people that were working on base lived. So they just brought in all of these like box houses essentially and filled up this whole open space area with these houses, and a lot of people that live in Layton now started off in Verdlin Park, so there's a lot of really good history there from the wartime. And so that was a collection we were really looking to expand, and I know that they're still doing some oral history work on that now, so it's been fun to watch its progress.
This is amazing.
This is all new information.
No, it
I
totally
kinda
is.
love all
How
of
come
this
we
stuff.
haven't had museum people on the show before,
Well,
Brandon? I mean, come on. This is pretty great. Learning so much.
I feel we should spread this out because we haven't even gotten to Park City yet.
I'll be quick. I have one more job, and then we're in Sioux City.
I want to hear all of it. It's fantastic.
Okay.
Okay, so this one was a shorter stint. I moved to Draper and was not enjoying the commute up to Layton.
Weird.
Yeah, imagine that. And decided that I needed something remote until I found another museum job. So I started working as the architectural historian for an archaeological firm based out of Tucson. And that was kind of a very big pivot for me.
Which is wild that you can do that in Utah, in Draper.
Yeah. I
So
flew
cool.
down to Tucson about once a month, once every couple months, and did a little bit of actual field work, some excavating, some field surveys, but wrote a lot of reports. And then it was getting kind of draining, and then this job opened in Park City, and
And you fought you fought the other 3-4 people for it. like,
Exactly,
hard.
tooth and nail.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
understand that.
I've had my eye on the museum for a while because I love skiing and I love Park City. So I've kind of been watching it, but the previous executive director was there for 22 years.
Lifer.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So we
that's
were waiting
rough.
for that
Yeah.
retirement, and then it happened.
Wait, how many of those are on the board? All right, how many of those are you're like, and man, when that executive director leaves, like, because that's
Yeah.
a big deal. There's a list, right?
There's a huge list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And we all keep our tabs on it and just
Yeah.
wait, sitting
Okay.
and watching,
Yeah.
next generation's coming in. And
yeah,
yeah.
true.
Yeah,
True.
it's the same. It's the same thing when it comes to like professors.
Yeah.
Like young professors, like, yeah, they're for sure gonna retire. They're still like for sure, and they're like, nope.
So how much?
Nope.
How much of that? Now let's see how honest we are. How much of that has to do with salary, and how much of that has to do with that's just a really cool place, and I'd love to work there.
Yes.
Yes. It's never about salary.
No, of course not.
Of course not. Yeah. Okay.
Not in the museum world.
Oh, okay. Well, there's that. Yeah.
But yeah, so I saw that job open, and they told me that I applied within like 2 hours of the position being posted. So I was pretty proud of myself.
You were totally stalking them.
I was-
Oh my
You're
gosh.
Shocking.
we haven't made the announcement yet.
She's still packing her stuff. Okay. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah, nice job.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started April 1st. So
Wait, time out. Was that the only qualification? It was like, well, you were first to apply, so I guess that was it.
sometimes I
No.
wonder.
No.
No, that was
Incredible amount of
Yeah.
experience.
And what did they want from you when you came? Because they're like, okay, they were there 20 something years.
Mm-hmm.
They built this up to a thing. And so what was the feedback to you? Like what
Because
direct?
what we've learned about executive directors, there's just like the one task, like
Only
the
one task.
thing that they
Only one thing.
and it's not a range of skills.
Okay.
So
It's to executive
usually-
direct.
It's yes,
Exactly.
it's usually like a huge staff, and so you're overseeing a staff of sometimes dozens and dozens of people, and then like I feel like I've got
What
this
is-
wrong.
what
Yeah.
is
People
this
have told
place?
me.
Yeah, no, but it's an historic
Lot of hats.
museum, and it's like one that's like personal because it's about a person, and it's been run by a person for a long time, and so I'm just curious, like they're like, don't mess this up, or were they like, please take what we've started and just do your thing, like what were their direction there?
Kind of a middle ground. They identified some, places where they were a little lacking. The previous director wasn't museum trained, so they were like, "Can you come in and help
Oh,
us
and it
with our
showed.
collections?" And
Yeah, no, I have no idea.
You haven't been.
wow,
It looks
No, I have no idea.
he hasn't even been.
No.
So they said, can you focus on collections? Can you focus on getting us accredited as a museum? And then some of the things that I identified early on that I've been working with the board on is community outreach and kind of getting the locals in, because we're at the Olympic Park. Most of our tourists that come through are exactly that. They're tourists. They're from all over the world. They're not usually repeat visitors. So, how can we dip into that community and get those repeat visitors and get that tighter community connection?
Yeah, I love it.
Did you solve that? Are you good?
We're getting
Check that off at
we're
6
getting
mon's?
there.
Yeah, 6 months is all.
I've
long time.
That
identified the
process takes some
problem.
time. All right,
So-
that's a
What's
start.
What's the problem?
So you're still trying to figure that out? I like that.
You figured out yours. Yeah. What is it?
Yeah. I just say that to sound good. I
Oh,
actually
okay. Darn it.
No follow-up questions.
No, it is interesting because, like, I think from my world, I always think of like natural history museums, or predominantly I think of like art museums, right? But like, it's interesting. You fulfill like a little like there's this humanities pocket of like I would throw like the skiing into that, or even like the little like the community ones you're thinking of. I was like, it's just not necessarily like a museum scene
Great
I would
point.
necessarily like think of, but it's obviously it's there when you say there's like 200 in Utah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy, and each one has its own little niche thing that it's known for, and really trying to work with the Utah Museum Association to get that visibility for all of these great little places and the fun things that you can learn there.
So I have to ask the big question. Maybe this is Brandon's same question.
I don't know. We'll find out.
So this kicked in right after 2002. I don't know if you've heard, they're coming back again. And so that is a finite time. That
Olympics.
means that the plans are being made now. So I work for Salt Lake City, and so plans are like being made now for that to happen. And so have those conversations already started
Oh, absolutely.
with your board and
Yeah, so we also manage the Olympic Museum that's on the second floor of our building, and we've been really starting to collect the contemporary history. We had a huge party up at the Utah Olympic Park on July 24th for the announcement, and we started collecting as much as we could from the community. One of our coolest things that we did, we built this giant 8-foot wooden torch, and we invited people to come and sign it and put their memories about 2002 or what they're excited for 2034. And one of the cool things that we got from that we weren't quite expecting, a lot of athletes train in Utah, especially at Utah Olympic Park, so they were all there. So these little kids were coming over and signing it and saying, watch for me in the Olympics. That's what I'm shooting for. Yeah. So we have all of their, like 7-year-old autographs now on this torch memorialized in our museum. And we really want to start to build that story and get some digital memories and start to build kind of the hype for 2034 and work on building our exhibits out and really getting that excitement and that community connection, because so many people train at the park that are going to go on and be these gold medal athletes.
Now, have you noticed any kind of bump or interest in say donations because of that?
Kind of, not really, but I mean, artifact-wise, yes. People are calling us.
I guess that's a start.
Like crazy. One cool donation that we got that we were really never expecting. The International Olympic Committee came through a couple weekends ago, and they said, "Hey, we want to stop by the museum and check it out since it's 2002. We're going to bring you an object." So they brought it here from Switzerland in their carry-on suitcase. And it is a 50-pound bust of Pierre de Coubertin, who is the founder of the modern Olympics. And so we now have that piece of history. And we had the IOC president, Thomas Bach, sign our torch. So we also have that in there as well.
Oh, my gosh. Now, were they expecting to swing by and say hi, or did they just have this bust with them?
They were definitely expecting it because you should have seen how excited they were to get rid of it.
Oh, no! Because somebody has been lugging that around from the other side of the world. Oh, that's so great.
It's amazing.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I know personally, because I work for like I said, I think earlier, the Salt Lake City Arts Council. And so we're even now starting a little bit of kind of research and the connection with the arts and the Winter Olympics, and how that was a lot more important back when, and it's kind of distanced itself a little bit. But I see future partnerships with Salt Lake City Museum over there.
Absolutely. Let's
so
do it.
Exciting. Oh, I just love that so much. You got to check out that space, Brandon. It's cool.
Apparently, yeah.
Just that whole building. It's just that experience of just kind of trekking through that space. It's cool.
Yeah, well, that'd be awesome. I want to know how people can support you, and how do you make money there at the museum?
Yeah, well, we definitely work off donations, as most small museums do. Yeah. We have our website, which is engenmuseum.org, and you can visit that and donate. Currently, we are raising funds for a campaign to remodel our entrance. It hasn't really been updated since 2002, and we have plans to give it a really cool facade and showcase historic ski fashion and an exhibit about the U.S. ski team, which is based here in Park City. And we have these giant cases that we'll be bringing in that are all preservation ready. So they're temperature controlled, humidity controlled, to kind of keep those objects alive as long as we can. Mm-hmm. And that capital campaign is ending in, let's see, what month would that be? February. So if you hop on that, you can be a part of our new museum.
I love it. Exciting. I love it. Great stuff, and way more than I had no idea. Like, that is the coolest. Your whole story.
Conversations.
Yeah, I know. That's why that's why we have a podcast.
What? Full circle.
Get to know these people. So, yeah, very good. And by the way, I see you're on Facebook, Instagram, and all the things, and so people can follow and see what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Come check us out. We're Engen Museum is our handle.
Yeah. Okay, James, you got to follow that, James.
It's tough act to follow. Yeah.
I know.
I've also got so many
questions,
nonprofit ED questions. We should take those offline.
No, I think we should.
Compare and contrast.
I mean, dive in. Let's
get
go.
dirty. Tell me about your 990. No,
no, thank you.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. I was kind of what? I'm into it. So, if you want to get geeky with that stuff, but
no, we don't.
Oh my God! It's from ED to ED. It is So you guys speak the same language, apparently, as far as that goes, ish.
We have some,
Some
probably
crossover?
Some crossover.
Yeah,
Okay,
I guess.
okay.
Yeah.
But and then you're more James in obviously performance.
Yeah.
So, which your season has kicked off here in Ogden, and you've had 2 or 3 already this season.
Yeah, it depends if you want to count like some of the summer amphitheater stuff, which we've been
Okay.
expanding. So we had a couple summer amphitheater shows this year, which was great.
Should mention Onstage Ogden.
I'm the executive director of Onstage Ogden.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yes.
appreciate that.
But yeah, I guess we just got done with our 4th show of the season. This is our 75th anniversary season.
Yay!
Yeah.
Wait, I got a button. Damn it. Slow.
Applause.
There it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Wow.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a cool thing.
75. What are you guys
it's-
doing? That's awesome.
Yeah, it's weird to just be here. I've been here for like 3 years, and this year we're like celebrating this thing, and it's kind of like it's an awesome time to like acknowledge, like the people that got us here, right? So like we're talking about them a lot this season. So like 75 years ago, Ginny Mathian, Beverly Lund, 2 women in the community, 1949. They were like, the Utah Symphony needs to come to Ogden High School.
Because Utah Symphony hadn't been to Ogden, or they were just
Off and on, and they were having some financial troubles at the time. It was kind of like a make or break time for the symphony. They'd only been around for like 5 years at that point.
okay.
Like right post-war.
Yeah.
Right? And so the 2 of them like took it upon themselves and said, like, this is going to be our regular thing. Like we can, the money was in Ogden at that time, right? And like we can will
I don't
this
know where
thing
it
to
went,
exist.
but it was in Ogden at one point. So
We can will this thing into existence up here, and so like we're really like celebrating them this year, and just like what that means in terms of like what we're doing now, and like what that honoring that tradition, right?
and then that was it. The whole thing started apparently, right? That was
Yeah,
it?
no, that kicked it off, and the Utah Symphony has had a presence in Ogden, coming half dozen to 10 to 12 times ever since, which is like a super unique relationship. Over the last like decade or so, Onstage Ogden has become a little bit more of what we'd call like a multidisciplinary presenter, right?
Yeah.
We're bringing performing arts from across the spectrum, and that can mean a myriad of things at this point. Certainly the Utah Symphony is still a big chunk of what we do, but this year we're doing, I think it's like 30 performances.
Yeah, that's a good.
We're at Peary's, we're at the Monarch, we're still at Weber State. It's kind of like our traditional home. And like I said, a couple of performances at the amphitheater that we'll probably expand a little bit next summer.
So how much of that history weighs on you to perform and to expand and pay homage to the past, but yet make it the coolest thing ever in the future?
No, that's the tug of war, right? Where it's like this, like we talk about like this legacy that we need to steward while still like remaining like relevant to the community we're in, right? And like the longtime folks, like they see it definitely as like a yes and, right? So like we're bringing symphony, we're bringing classical music, and we're also bringing like stuff that really appeals to like younger audiences, right?
Yeah.
And changing demographics in Ogden. Couple weeks from now, we're bringing, I think like a perfect example of this is like Coco, the Disney Pixar movie, right?
Yep.
So we're bringing it's the movie,
Yeah.
which is like great for young audiences and everything, but then the soundtrack is going to be performed by Orquesta Folclórico Nacional de Mexico, the National Folk
Wow, really?
Orchestra of
Yeah,
Mexico.
that's amazing.
And
They're coming here.
They're coming here, and they're going to play along to the movie, and they're going to do some cool stuff in the community
I
the day
just met
before, the afternoon of.
An artist in town, I think you know him, Todd, who makes the wooden masks, like the Hispanic wooden masks, and his daughter makes like these paper mache designs that were like in the same artistic elements of the Coco, like the whole, like the movie. Like it's the coolest thing. He was showing me. He was.
Are those little alebrijes? Is that what those are called? The little models.
You would know better
Maybe
than
so.
me,
That
but
makes
yes,
sense. Yeah.
yeah.
How
Yeah.
exciting!
But bringing
Good
that's
catch.
so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's just like a good example of kind of like the changes we're trying to make. And
Yeah.
then similar to the stuff we're doing upstairs from where we are right now at the Monarch, where we're bringing like smaller, more intimate stuff. We have like couches set up and like cocktail rounds and like a bar, and trying to like really like focus on just like having like a super high quality, very cool experience. And that can be anything from like we had last week we had a Canadian pop singer songwriter guy, and we have an Irish harpist coming in March. and so and then like very strict classical stuff, like out in probably what will be one of the most progressive classical music concerts in Utah in May with Turtle Island String Quartet, which will have some very cool stuff. But all upstairs.
Turtle Island String Quartet.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool.
Who is most responsible for putting that lineup together? Is this a full group effort, or do you have like an ace in the hole? Somebody that is just dialed in every year?
The person that is like not super dialed in and is more like a 9 or a jack in the hole would be me.
Fair.
So like,
Clearly.
A jack in the hole.
so it's it's card right.
There's levels.
That's a few steps down from that ace, but yeah.
So like certainly like the symphony's going to do what the symphony's going to do. They say, hey, we're available. Like we're going to come up these days. Like here's what you got. But then certainly when you think about like all the other stuff we're doing throughout the year, there's kind of like a network of like folks that kind of do this stuff, right? And I go to a couple conferences a year and we chat and stuff you see like maybe down at like Live at the Eccles at Salt Lake, or smaller spots like maybe down at the Norda, or we've got colleagues in St. George or Twin Falls, or all over the West. It's just kind of like the routes of these like smaller multidisciplinary performing arts presenters bringing stuff like we do. So it's a little bit sausage making. It's fun. Yeah, no, it's definitely a puzzle for sure. But it's a little bit more sausage making than like this like beautiful curatorial act for sure.
No, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Oh, and oh my God, because I was talking. We were talking about Twilight a few months ago and how they book, and it's just like a matter
I
of
definitely listened to that
schedules.
episode
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah,
It's wild, right?
No,
like, how do you get the schedules to line up and all that kind of stuff is a whole other thing. I mean,
it's like, who can come here on this date for this much?
right. And, well, there's
Right? It's
that
not
too.
quite that easy, but
The
like, it's
budget
like,
as
yeah.
well, right?
Totally.
So
Yeah,
and then well, we should talk about that. How do you get your budget? Is this all donations? Do you have any sponsors? Like what? How do we afford to bring this wonderful talent into Ogden?
So we've definitely got like a diverse stream for sure. Like with a pivot into slightly more popular pieces, like we've been doing over the last few years. We're over 50%, moving towards 60%, like ticket sales.
Oh, wow.
Is funding what we're doing.
Was that you, or was that kind of happening?
It's
anyway?
correlation, not causation, perhaps.
Okay.
Like it's kind of like the change in the programming plus like post-COVID economic stuff.
Okay.
And just also kind of like the demands of like what we are trying to bring, right? It's going to
Yeah.
be more commercial, just in the nature of what the titles are, right? Yeah, so it's still like we can't do what we do without like significant community support. So like certainly we're getting a lot from Ramp. Everybody vote for Ramp on November 5th.
Wait, so remind me, do we have to vote it in every election cycle?
10 years.
Every 10
and
years?
It's now. You don't hear a lot. Like I'm a little freaked out because you don't hear a lot of people talking about it.
No,
but it is
it's
back.
Absolutely huge.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So this November 5th. Say it loud, say it proud. Like let's
Zap
make sure
is the
Ramp
same
happens.
down in
Do you
Salt
know that
Lake.
you don't even
Yeah.
have to vote for a political candidate? You just go vote for Ramp.
Vote
That's
for
all you got to do.
Yeah.
It's just show
I say do it all, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, it's while you're there.
I mean, there are other boxes you can mark. So yeah.
Fair.
Oh my gosh.
But I would say that ramp one is pretty important.
Pretty important. It's just super impactful.
So what? Why would anyone vote against Ramp? I don't even.
They're just. I wouldn't make the assumption that it's a guaranteed
Okay.
because people do have to know what it is. A lot of people don't know
Yeah.
what it even is, and so there has to be that. I don't know. I think whenever you let that guard down and just assume that it is this,
What's
thing that
the
we all know it
acronym
is.
stand for? Do you know?
Recreations, arts, museums, and parks.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks. Yeah.
Weber County's Ramp.
And it's a percentage.
It is a tiny, tiny percentage of sales tax in Weber County, and it just like makes kind of a massive difference, and especially like moving here and like coming and seeing that as an ingredient in like the arts economy here is just like.
I mean,
It's so
any
amazing.
major event you go to that uses a park
Come
has
on.
the Ramp logo. I just went and saw. So I live in the Terrace, and there's literally a new park, kids park, and they play the tennis thing. That's whatever. And there's
Pickleball.
Thanks, pickleball. I obviously don't play, but there's like the whole Ramp thing. Like it was funded by
Yep.
Ramp. Like it's all funded by Ramp. So, okay, that was a good pitch.
Yeah, no, it's got to happen. Like
Yep.
it's super important. November 5th.
And arts, obviously, but
Yep.
yeah, okay, big deal.
Big deal.
And for nonprofits.
Of course, yeah. I think like most of the funding that they're putting out is for nonprofits or like some governmental agencies as well. So,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So what was on your personal sort of wish list that you've been able to manifest as far as a musician or a particular
that's a good
performance or show or something?
Great question.
Because we all know, I have a feeling, let's just say, that often the Ogden Twilight calendar is certain people want to see a certain person in town. Has that happened to you? Have you been able to bring in somebody that was really important to you and you just kind of, you knew that Ogden would respond really well to this performance or
Well,
this musician?
it is this weird little gut check because it's like it can't be for James.
No, of course.
Right?
Oh.
Right? You know what I mean? Like anytime,
I'm so
like
disappointed.
right? Anytime it's like there has to be like this gut check, right? But like if I can gut check it against like a checklist of like, okay, like this makes sense for these reasons, right?
Of course.
This wasn't like I'll give 2 examples. Like this wasn't going like way out on a limb, but we brought this guy last year. His name was Puddle's Pity Party. He is
I
like
remember
a
that.
7-foot singing clown. The show is half mime, half singing. He's got like this amazing voice, and it's just like I love it. It's arch. It's weird. He's singing pop tunes, but doing like weird physical comedy, bizarre stuff. But I also knew it sold well, and I also knew like we were doing some other performances like Postmodern Jukebox, some of these other things that are just kind of like in that realm, and it was going very well. And it was this moment with the board where I'm just like, look, it's a 7-foot clown. You're just gonna have to trust me. You're just gonna have to trust me on this one.
And you've earned that so far.
Well, it worked.
Yeah.
I mean, so it worked. Like, we had a really great show at Peary's, and like it was especially interesting to see some like the old guard, some like the symphony folks, like they showed up.
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm looking at my wife. It's like I can't believe they're here. Are they gonna walk out at an intermission?
The
And for them to
Vanderbilts
come up
were
to
there.
me, yes,
Yes.
for them to come up to me like after the show and be like, that was so interesting, so weird. I really enjoyed it. I'm like, okay, like these things can stick.
So they're now Puddle groupies.
Well,
bought the t-shirt.
that's pushing it, I think.
They got
But-
t-shirts.
You can catch Puddles
that's-
opening for Weird Al in Utah.
See, I love that.
next
Oh,
summer. Yeah, he's doing the
yes.
tour with Weird Al next summer. So.
But I'm glad
That's
you took a chance. It's like I'm glad you put it out there. It was like,
Yeah.
I might. You know.
And so one I've got coming this year that I would batch into that is this Irish harpist, and like I saw her in New York, this tiny club at a booking conference, tiny club. It's like maybe it's like 50 seats, like tiny.
Yeah.
And she just does this like super interesting storytelling, and she's like it's like jazz Celtic harp, and
Wow.
she's just doing things that are just like kind of unfathomable with her hands, and then she's like even playing along to like a historic recording of a poem, and I'm just like this is heavy, this is James stuff, right?
Yeah.
This is for me. But then like that we have someplace like the Monarch where it's like this doesn't work. We love doing stuff at the Browning Center.
Yeah.
This doesn't work in a 1,400 seat auditorium.
Right.
Fair.
Right. But that we have like, we're building this like little experience upstairs, like with couches and cocktail rounds and a bar and like a super intimate experience. Her name's Maeve Gilchrist. It's going to I think it's going to be
Well,
gorgeous,
if
right?
Maeve hints at like potentially needing some Irish dancers, I got some. I know some.
Nice.
I have one at home, and then all our friends would
It's
show up.
pretty contemporary Irish stuff, right?
Okay,
like it'd be a little
gotcha,
bit.
yeah.
That said,
Yeah.
we do have Trinity Irish Dance, which is like one of like the preeminent Irish dance groups in the country coming
wow.
in January.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Where are they coming to?
Oh, they'll be at the Osted. They'll be at the Osted, at the Browning Center, Weaver
Yep.
State,
Okay.
the big theater. That'll be one of our.
Okay.
It's kind of like one of our tent poles of the year. I'd say.
Yeah. How much do you love your job? This sounds like a blast.
Man, how much do I love my job? It's just like a super engaging job, and it like has its tough days and it has its good days. But it's just like I love the business. I love like people like sitting there like enjoying the concert.
Yeah.
And then like it's just like an amazing moment, right? Where you're like, I know they're giving a standing ovation for them, but like I tell my colleagues, I tell the boards, like when you hear that standing ovation, like take a dose of it for yourself,
Sure,
right? Like
sure.
that's a little bit about what we all like made happen.
And you have a great team.
Got a great team. Yeah. Strong but small but strong group of 5 of us, and we accomplish a lot. And obviously we got like great community partners at all the venues, who we couldn't do it without, of course. So
Now you're celebrating 75. So how far
And he looks young
back?
for that too, by the way.
How far back can you go with personal stories? Not you personally, but the community. Like, is there anyone that was involved? Like, maybe not day one, but year 5, or how far back can we go with first-hand stories?
like it's like to almost the origin. Like
That's so cool.
But things get a little foggy. They're like, was I at the first concert? Right? Like
Yeah.
like where some people go like they're like, I know I was going to concerts in the 40s.
Yeah.
But they don't know if they went to the concert, right? But really they're at the foundation of the thing, at the very beginning. And it is interesting, and like to hear that they're like, I love the scene of like they're having receptions at their home when they're a kid, and like Marisa Bravanel is like in their home and they're like staying up late.
Unreal.
Right? And like everybody's talking about a Bravanel Hall right now. Like that's Marisa Bravanel. And like here he is in Ogden, and like I feel like there's this picture of like a Marisa Bravanel like with a few of the ladies who helped put this thing on with like a great Jello mold, right? Where it's like
That's the photo I want to see right there.
yeah.
But these are the stories. I work at the Art Barn down in Salt Lake. It's kind of a similar story, built in 1931. But the people that come in and the stories that they tell, like, that's everything. I love that so much. And I hope that celebrating 75, that we're able to track down 1 or 2 of those, get a couple stories.
Yeah, absolutely. This will be part of it. And
love that stuff.
And we're trying to like, not to get too sappy with it, but like build that next generation
Yes,
of those
of course,
stories,
yeah.
right? And like, what does it mean for folks?
Oh,
for
100%,
folks now?
yeah. Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Thanks so much. I appreciate you being on the program today. And how can we, get tickets? How can we?
Yeah, onstageogden.org, or find us on the socials at Onstage Ogden. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff. Can I give 2 plugs?
Yes.
Just because they're in like the next 2 weeks.
Yes.
I will say one super interesting thing. Peary's Egyptian Theater coming up in the next few weeks. So Peary's is having its 100th anniversary.
That's right.
Peary's has been going on for 100 years.
Yep.
They're the home of a mighty Wurlitzer, which if you don't know is like a huge classic organ. It's just under 100 years old, the organ is. We have like basic...
Rises.
It does, yes. We have one of like the world's preeminent organists coming on Tuesday, October 30th. His name's Cameron Carpenter. He will be playing along to the 1924 silent film Nosferatu. The soundtrack has been lost. The score has been lost. He has composed a new score for it. He will be playing it on Ogden's Mighty Wurlitzer the night before Halloween. Like, this is going to be like a super fun time.
Wait a minute. So it was a movie.
Movie.
So, but there's no sound? Like, you can't...
It's a silent film, and the score was
Silent
lost.
film. The score was lost.
And like, we all know that Nosferatu, like the shadow, right? With the nails.
100%,
And
yeah.
The score is gone. He's reinvented the score. He is he is like the world's preeminent organist, and he's going to be here playing our organ.
That's wild.
for Halloween. It's going to be super cool.
Do you know if there's still tickets for that?
There are still tickets for
Okay,
that.
I might have to.
It's going to be really good. And then just a couple days after that, back at Peary's, like, it's interesting. I feel like all Utahns have been to Yellowstone, right? Maybe not all Utahns.
I mean, look around at the art in here.
We've got National Geographic Live is this program that they've got going on, and they'll be bringing the wild wolves of Yellowstone. It's Doug Smith. He's the guy that reintroduced wolves into Yellowstone's like almost 2 decades ago now, and he's going to be coming. Like, think aggrandized TED Talk. He's going to come down with like high-res footage that we played on Peary's, talking about like the project, talking about Yellowstone.
And he's going to set wolves loose in Ogden.
So
And he's going to set wolves right in the theater.
How cool is that? So cool.
Bring the whole family.
Everywhere he goes, he sets wolves free. It's so cool. I sent this to my wife, and I said, but it's on a whatever day, and because what day is it on?
Friday, November 1st.
It's on Van Sessions. That's why I was so mad. I was so
Oh, it's
mad.
the first Friday. That's right.
First Friday, and I'm like, I'm committed. I cannot cannot go, and I really, really want to go.
Well, I'm not
to
sure
that
where your kid goes to
because-
school, but we're doing a big student matinee that day. We've got students like from all over Weber County are coming into it.
I
gonna
think you can pass
adopt
as
a child.
student. I think you can pass as a student.
Yeah, they need they need parents to accompany the field trips.
I mean, I
right?
have
Yeah.
kids, so
Yeah.
bring them in, and oh my god, amazing! That's so
Yeah,
cool.
fun
That's
stuff.
the
Yeah,
coolest. Okay, good job pimping those two events.
Thank you.
Those are
Yeah, that's what
fantastic.
we're
Good
here,
choices.
Yeah,
Good
great
choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is where Todd pimps his events too. Did you want to?
Yeah, I'm just going to mention that Friday is Salt Lake's Gallery Stroll, so, third Friday. And so I will be there for a little bit myself. It's kind of our second reception. We do have a closing reception as well if you can't make Friday. And then I'm going to sneak away. I'm going to go to a concert on Friday night.
What?
There is a band called Lawrence that I've been obsessed with the entire summer. If you are not familiar with Lawrence, you have to get to know them. They are the coolest, particularly like summer. I've been listening to them nonstop. I'm sure April's just like, okay, we got it. I have a tendency to just really dose hard, and so anyway, it sold out super fast, and so I got the secondhand good deal, and I think it ended up being cheaper
Oh, good,
than
good.
original price. And so anyway, grab a ticket to see
Lawrence, are they like Hanson?
It is a brother and a sister in a band, so I guess there's relations as far as that goes.
Okay,
You will love them. You would love them, and see if you make some of the similar comparisons that I do.
Okay,
But otherwise, run by the gallery down in Salt Lake, Finch Lane.
awesome, love it. Annie, James, thanks so much for being on the program.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks to Banyan One. That is the trailer here for powering today's episode of the Ogden Arts and Adventure Show. You can listen and subscribe to Ogden Arts and Adventure on YouTube. You can look for us on Facebook, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, thebanyancollective.com, and the Podbean app for Android and iPhones. If you want to be on the program, DM me on Instagram at Ogden Adventure. And if you found value in this podcast, you can consider supporting us and giving us all of your net worth at buymeacoffee.com/Banyan Media, or just like $5 a month, whatever. It's cool. We'll take that too. Buymeacoffee.com/Banyan Media. This week's Outdoor Jukebox, because I hadn't published anything this week, we're going to go back a little bit to KJ when KJ was on the program. This is called New School Love, as recorded live during van sessions, and we'll see you on the next Ogden Arts and Adventure Show.
Well, the rain hits my window as the storm sneaks in, and the tears left on my pillow remind me of a time back then. Oh darling, are you with me? Can you kiss me in the morning? You left your clothes here in the closet, lock the door when you come in. When I moved out, unexpected, took a new path, new direction. Where the nights became later, oh, our love, it grew greater. And your eyes were covered up by the dust of our old love. And this new school love's not what I'm thinking of. Let's read a book and fall in love. And baby, I'm thinking of you. And it's all that I can do. And let's go somewhere brand new. And let's fall in love like it's old school, like it's old school. nectarines and pumpkins on the phone. Let's raise a family of little ones, watch them grow up and build a tree house. And we'll send them off to college, I'll wipe the tears off as they walk away. And your eyes were covered up by the dust of our old love. And this new school love's not what I'm thinking of. Let's read a book and fall in love. And baby, I'm thinking of you, and it's all that I can do. And let's go somewhere brand new. And let's fall in love like it's old school, like it's old school love.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Here's your award on band sessions.